Have you ever wondered how a shot like this is created? If so, stay tuned and I'll share the tools and techniques I used to create this hyperlapse. While filming this video,
well, let me forget that this thing is here. Why, did you want to fly formation? Or? Why does it keep shutting off? Oh, hi, am I? Run into me, Bob. What do you think, Bob? Should I bring her home or keep going? Move, 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 move!
Warning, aircraft battery at 16%.
For this video, I'm using a Mavic Air 2 with Litchi. Litchi has the nice feature where you can create missions online. And then when it comes time to fly it, you can actually load it up in your phone. So past me is going to actually show you how I set up this mission while I get the drone ready to fly.
All right, we're back here in the studio and I am going to walk through how to create a mission in Litchi. You do have to purchase Litchi. Litchi is, I believe I maybe paid $20. At most it's $30. But you do have to purchase Litchi. Now, the reason why I chose to use Litchi for this, the Air 2 does not have a method for using waypoints. For whatever reason, DJI decided not to include waypoints as a functionality within the Air 2 feature set. So Litchi, although it doesn't necessarily use waypoints on board the drone, if you lose signal with the drone, it won't automatically fly the mission. You do need to maintain connection with the drone in order for this to work. They use what they call virtual sticks, and basically what it is Litchi moves the sticks as if somebody was flying the drone to get either to the location and maintain the gimbal angle and the keep the drone pointed in the direction. I don't know if it's because of virtual sticks or if any waypoint mission would be the way it is. The footage that I captured did have a little bit of a problem, but I was able to fix it with Adobe Premiere Pro. Basically what happened was the images weren't all exactly lined up. It seemed like there was a lot of up and down and didn't seem like it was always pointed in the direction, what's called a point of interest, which I'll show you in the setup. I was able to fix it in post with Premiere Pro by using what's called warp stabilizing, and I was able to fix that. If you're interested in finding out how I did that process all the way from taking the images off the drone to creating the final movie, let me know down in the comments below, and if there is enough interest, I'll actually create a tutorial on how I did all that. So with that, let's get into what we have to do here with Litchi to fly a mission and to capture that image. Once you purchase Litchi, you'll create an account. As you can see, I'm actually already logged in here under my account. And once you do that, you may have access to this even before you sign up. But what I have here is this mission hub. I'll click allow. If you've ever seen the time lapse I have with the lighthouse, this is actually where the lighthouse is. And this is where I actually took the time lapse. If you're interested in that video, at the end of this video, I'll have a link to it and I'll show you the time lapse. But this is the area where I'm going to be taking off from. The reason why I chose this area is because, as you can see, here's downtown Buffalo here, and I figured I would be able to capture the traffic moving along here. This is kind of two of the major highways, if you will. This is this is Route 5. Main Street goes into Main Street, and this is the 190 here. So what I wanted to do is, along with the city, was capture the traffic at night here in this area. All right, so what I'm going to do to do this is I'm going to go to missions and I'm going to click new. Okay, once you do that, it's going to start plotting waypoints when you click on the screen. So what I'm going to do is I kind of want to fly this area here and kind of looking this way into the traffic. So I'm going to put my first waypoint here. Okay, so there you see is my first waypoint. And I want to kind of fly a little bit of an arch. So I'll place my second waypoint here. and I'll place my third waypoint here. Now, that's not a whole lot of an arch, and if you want to move the waypoints, you can just click on them and drag them, and it moves the waypoints. One of the nice things about doing this, if I remain over the water, I know, number one, I'm not flying over people, which technically you're not supposed to do. And the other thing is I know there's not going to be any obstacles barring them putting something tall in the middle of the river here. As you can see, these are the waypoints. This is the order that it's going to fly the waypoints: waypoint 1, waypoint 2, waypoint 3. Okay. Over here shows you the settings for each waypoint. So if I select waypoint 1, the altitude at waypoint 1, where it's going to start, is 98 feet. And that's a little low. I think I want to be a little higher, so I'm going to actually put 300 feet. So that's the altitude that's going to fly at. The speed is cruising, and I'll show you where you can set that in a little bit later. So just for now, you can set that to cruising, or if you want, you can set it to, like, say, 1 mile per hour or 2 miles per hour. Okay. The curve side, don't worry about. The heading, don't worry about right now. The POI, don't worry about right now. The gimbal pitch, you want to put focus on POI. And actually, you know what I'll do right now is I will set the POI so that we can actually see how that sets. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in a point of interest. And to do that, you right click, and you'll see this has a little bit of a different symbol. Instead of showing like the drone with the eyeball, it actually shows a camera. So I'm going to move that to this building here, which I believe is Seneca 1. And maybe I'll move it to this point here. So this is our point of interest 1. Okay. What you want to do is you want to set your altitude. I don't want it pointing directly at the ground. I do want it to have a little bit of height. So let's set this, let's set it to 100. Okay, so we get that set to 100 feet above from where you took off. Okay, so that's our point of interest. So now if I come back here and I will change this to focus on the POI, and you'll see it says POI 1, right? So that means that the drone is going to be pointed towards this area, and it's going to angle the gimbal so that it's pointing to this area at 100 foot off the ground. Okay. So let's go to the second waypoint, and I will set this to 300, cruise speed to cruising, curve size 280 feet. I'll leave that default heading 14 degrees. Okay. It's changed that because now it's pointing to this area, and I will do focus on POI. And you'll see actually it shows you the gimbal pitch is -3. So that means if it's a 300 foot at this distance, if it's pointing to 100 foot, the gimbal is going to be canted down 3 degrees. Okay. And then I'll do the same thing for, I've been adding waypoints here. Sorry. Let me delete this waypoint. And deleting waypoints is as simple as just clicking on delete here. So let's go back and make sure I got number 2 selected, 300 foot, heading 14 degrees, POI. Okay. So let's select number 3 here without creating a new waypoint. And again, I'll set this to 300. Cruising, curve size, I'm not worried about. Heading, that'll be adjusted because it's going to point to automatically because it's pointing to the point of interest. Point of interest 1, focus on point of interest 1. And there we have it. Now we set our 3 waypoints and set our point of interest. Okay. So as you can see, like the drone is going to be pointing this way. When it gets to this point, it's going to be pointing this way. When it gets to this point, it's going to be pointing this way when it gets to this point. Okay. Let's put another waypoint over here just so you can kind of see what it's going to do. I'll drop a waypoint here. See how the drone is pointed towards that waypoint? So when you have a waypoint and you're specifying it to look at that waypoint or point of interest, it'll keep the drone pointed in that direction of that, no matter where you put the waypoint. So I'm going to just delete that waypoint because I don't need it. And then I'm going to go into settings down here. And you can see I have Imperial. Heading mode is custom. The finish action, I don't want it to really do anything when it's done. I just kind of want it to stay where it is, and I'll fly it back, or I'll hit return to home. Path mode is curved turns. You can make straight lines, so as it goes to the waypoints, it'll just fly straight. If you do curved turns, if we did something a little tighter, actually let's show you what that does. If I were to create a waypoint here, see how it creates this curve? This blue line is the path the drone is going to take. So it creates a curve instead of a straight line. If I had straight lines, it would just go from here, straight to here, and then straight to there, instead of flying this little curve. And you can change the how tight that curve is by changing the curve size here. So if I were go back to waypoint 3, right? And then if I change this curve size, see how it's changing that blue line? So that is basically how you can get your drone to fly a smoother path, if you will. So let's get rid of this waypoint because I don't want it. All right, and let's go back into the settings, return to where we were. So I've had my path mode as curved turns. My cruising speed is 1.6 miles per hour. When you do the hyperlapse, you don't want it to move too fast. You kind of want it to be a little bit slow as it's progressing through the waypoints. I chose 1.6 miles per hour. I don't know what that's going to look like. I guess we'll see when we get out there. But I kind of feel like that's probably a good speed at which to do that waypoint. The max flight speed is 17.9 miles an hour. The default curve size is 75%. Again, that affects how your curves are created if you don't set your curve size with this slider. So we'll close this. So those are the settings you want when you're setting up your waypoint mission for a hyperlapse with Litchi. Now, what I will do is I will save this, and I will call this Buffalo Canal Side Hyperlapse. And I will save it. And once I save it, if I go to missions and go to open, you'll see that there's some of the other ones that I've done before are here. So there's accuracy test, Buffalo Main Light Orbit, and the one that we created, Buffalo Canal Side Hyperlapse, is right here. So what this will do, and you'll see it in the app when we go back to the field. You can open these on the app within the Litchi app when you're in the field and you're ready to fly the mission. So that's how you set it up through the Litchi Mission Hub, and it's fairly simple, fairly easy to do. So with that, let's go back to the field, and we will fly this mission. While I was getting my drone ready to fly and fighting the fact that I have too many toys and don't become proficient at any of them, Bob put his drone up in the air and took some spectacular photos.
I'm going to show you on my phone what I'm doing, what I'm clicking on, how I'm connecting. Right now I don't have the drone on, so it doesn't have the signal. But even with the drone off, we can actually load up the mission. I called this mission the Hyperlapse Waterfront, and I will load that. And now you see I have 3 waypoints, and I also have a point of interest way out here. I'm gonna take off, and Bob is coming back in. I guess he's got all the pictures he's gonna take. All right, so the aircraft is on, the strobe is on. As per the FAA rules for night flying, I do have my Part 107, so I can fly commercially as per the FAA. And okay, the aircraft is connected and has achieved satellite connection. So I'm gonna go ahead and take off. So we'll go back to the FPV screen and hit the takeoff button. Take off. Let me set my camera settings. Capture mode is going to be interval. I want to take it every 2 seconds. Come on. All right. Photo count is on infinite. Let's go into the mission. We'll load that up. Okay, it shows us our location, and then it shows the waypoints that it's going to fly. I'm going to switch this to photo, and I'm going to start the mission now. I'm going to select 1 as the starting waypoint, tell it to go, and actually I'm going to stop it.
All right, I didn't explain why I stopped the mission here. The reason why I stopped the mission is because for the first waypoint, I had the settings set to cruise, which was 1.6 miles per hour. And the problem is that it was taking a long time for the drone to head out to the first waypoint. So I stopped it, flew the drone out closer to the waypoint, and then started the mission back up.
Do it or no?
I'm going to start the mission. Oh, it's climbing right now. You can see the altitude going up.
Some kind of power exposure.
Okay, now I'm going to actually start taking the pictures because it won't automatically do it. I have to initiate it. So it's going to start taking pictures now. And so now it's at the waypoint. It should rotate to the point of interest.
Switch the view.
And there we go. So it's taking a time lapse, hyperlapse.
And what you're going to witness here in the next few seconds is, again, me being unfamiliar with in this case, the software for flying the drone. I don't use Litchi a ton. And basically what happened is somehow the interval for the pictures had gotten set to 10 seconds apart. And now what I'm doing is I'm resetting them to 2 seconds apart. Again, I had never shot a hyperlapse before. This is my first time. So please bear with me as I struggle from time to time with the software.
Like I said, I've never done this before, so you guys are learning right along with me. So I'm going to reload the mission, click go, turn on the... There we go, that sounds much better. And now we wait.
I'm going to speed up this next section of the video. There's no sense in sitting through the whole thing, but it will allow you to see the drone progress along the waypoints as it's taking the photos. If you're wondering what the difference between a hyperlapse and a time lapse is, basically a time lapse is when the camera is fixed, and a hyperlapse is when the camera is moving through space. And that's it.
Flying around here, I don't know.
Aircraft requesting go home. Warning, aircraft battery at 21%.
So at this point, Litchi had indicated that the battery was getting low, so I requested the drone to return to home. And as you can hear, there was actually a helicopter flying around in the area. Although he wasn't close to the drone, it was a little disconcerting. So I decided at that point to return the drone and call it a mission.
All right, so the drone came back safely. We're down to 12%, as you can see on the screen. But it did complete its mission, or it was, if it didn't, it was very, very close. So when I get that home, I'll stitch those images together, and hopefully we got a nice time lapse.
Warning, aircraft battery at 12%.
So with that, I'm gonna wrap up the video. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. During the video, I mentioned about time lapses. If you're interested in a time lapse, I've actually got a GoPro time lapse versus my DLSR time lapse. They go head to head. And if you're interested in that video, go ahead and click on the link right here.